Hi, everyone. Thank you again for coming to Skib and Mope. This is going to be our third episode, and we're going to be joined by Joyce and Kevin. And today, today we're going to be talking about attraction and typology. So it's going to be a pretty interesting topic. So I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, starting with Danielle.
I'm Danielle.
I'm Joyce.
Chaos. I'm Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
This is what happens when you have three introverts. It just gets really awkward really quick.
Yeah, Kevin's the only one with Saber Blast.
Yeah.
I'll bring like chaotic energy with my play. I've already brought a lot of chaos into this meeting. As the one perceiver, I've let 3 people down, and I've let all perceivers down because I messed up the time zones, and everyone was waiting for me.
It's adorable. It's fine.
Tears. But yes, so let's just get started. So, the first thing that we should probably talk about is that the double masculine versus the double feminines, and then the MFs and FMs having attraction to each other, because this is something that Dave and Shan talk about quite a bit, and something that the group talks about quite a lot. So what do you guys think of that? Why do you think the opposites, like, is it just an opposites attract kind of thing?
Who's going to go first?
I think nature just wants to have as much diversity as possible. So, yeah, that's my answer. Anyone have better insights?
I think like the masculine wants something to protect, because like what is it going to do with all that masculine energy? Like it has to channel it to protect the feminine energy. I guess like the feminine energy likes to bring like the delicateness to the relationship, so the carefulness. I don't know. It's like the balance of the world, the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
For me being double sorry, Kevin, but for me being double feminine, I feel like a little bit liberated by like double masculines, in that I feel like I can be a little bit more aggressive, because my aggressiveness is, especially with double feminine play and then double masculine sleep, my aggressiveness is all like in the inside. And so it's kind of like, it's this weird relationship, because it's like you're so flowy on the outside, but on the inside you're like kind of stubborn and hard, and nobody can, so it's like I feel more able to bring that part of myself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead, Kevin.
Oh no, I don't even remember. I was listening to you. I forgot what I was going to say. No, everything. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I would think two masculine would clash so much, because one would want to push a little bit, and the other would be like, "Why are you pushing me?" So I think that balance is probably a good thing for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if the attraction comes from like you see your insides in the other person. So if I'm double masculine on the inside, and when I see it on the outside of someone, it attracts me, because it's like I want to show more of my inside to the outer world, but I see someone else doing it so well. So it's almost like admirable, because I want to bring that inners outside. Like,
yeah.
You want what you don't have.
Do you guys think that the saviors, their modalities change things? Because personally, I did date a double masculine, and I felt like there was like an initial attraction and everything, but it was and disclaimers, whatever, up the wazoo, like, 2 people who of any modality can get together, and it could all be all right. But for us, it was like he was a TI saver, but had masculine FE like as his demon, and I'm pretty sure it was last. I'm pretty sure he was an IP, and I had like masculine FI as a demon as well. And so basically we just had really bad fights, and like we could not get along once we did have those emotions. And so it's just, it wasn't exactly as neat as the theory says it was. So maybe that's because there is a dissenting, like, kind of, because some people in the groups really believe in this, and some people are like, no, this absolutely does not work for me. And I think maybe it has something to do with the other puzzle pieces. I don't know what you think.
Yeah.
I think so, for sure. I think if both people are double deciders,
yeah,
it's like, it's okay. I mean, I think that's fine. They could be whatever modality. But
Yeah.
I think my wife is a double feminine, and I think she's a double decider. I think she's the same type as Ikram, actually. But she has, the femininity, and we just balance it out. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
And we've been together 27 years, 26
Oh,
years.
wow.
That's awesome. And so Ikram, were you dating a double decider or double observer?
Double observer. I think basically all the guys I've ever dated have all been IPs of some kind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You do notice, like with people like Bo Burnham, who's double masculine, he has double feminine saviors, and I feel like you wouldn't look at him and necessarily think he was double masculine. And I don't really know because I didn't rewatch the video.
Yeah.
But that changes things as well.
Because it's like Bo Burnham and like people that are kind of like him, where they have double feminine saviors, and they have that extroverted double masculine. It's like they come off very I don't know how to say it. It's like they come off very soft, but also kind of like, if you mess with me, like you're gonna get that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting because it's like that Hulk syndrome. So I think there might be like a separate syndrome where it's like when you have your demons as double feminine. Because I also dated a guy who's TISI, and he was masculine in TISI, and then his double extroverted whatever functions were FE and NE, and that caused a lot of trouble because it's like we were able to communicate more because we had feminine DE, so it felt like okay, we can match up, but we were both so freaking stubborn because of our internal world. And also it's like anytime we would like fight or anything, it was just I felt so bad because I felt like he was in a really vulnerable place, and I'm like, what's happening to you? And it was surprising because he was so much more solid in his everyday life. Yeah, so it could be surprising.
Yeah, my demons are both masculine also, but it's TI and SE, so it's like I'm just gonna go consume and I'll be angry. Yeah. Kind of boring.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we're attracted to the opposite modality because everyone's brains like subconsciously wants variety? So it's like after a while it's stale to be like double feminine all the time, so you're attracted to the double masculine because you want something different than you.
Yeah. I think some people are attracted to similarity too. Yeah. I wonder about that as well, because it's like there's so much you can get from being with somebody who's of a similar type. Obviously the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, they were the exact same 5'12" type and whatever. And I feel like it could probably, it's like the syndrome of like, you totally get me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So especially when and you can make that same argument for the same functions. So if I did keep referring to the same people, but it's like three people. Somebody was FI, SE, and for the one good thing was that it was like we were speaking the same language, so it's like almost you're familiar right away. But like, what do you guys find yourself being fascinated by the opposite decider like axis? Because I sometimes find myself more fascinated and interested in the TI-FE axis, especially when FE is a demon. I don't know why. I think I have some ideas, but yeah.
I certainly have. Yeah, I agree with that also, for sure. I think when it's the same deciders, it's kind of boring, to be honest. It's predictable. I don't know. It's nice to have like a little bit of a clash where you can see the things you're not seeing.
Yeah.
I tend to have like a thing for like FITE users, especially like when they're EPs too. So they're kind of like like steak that sizzles. Like there's a sizzle and it's like very alluring. Like you want to befriend them.
I find myself like fascinated by the other decide axis, but I do find that a lot of my best friends end up being on the TIFE axis. But generally, I mean, I'm pretty happy with both. Like I don't find myself bored by FIT people at all. I like them a lot. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
might be a bit different there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess moving on, but to talk about TIFE, I would love to hear your thoughts, Joyce and Kevin. But I think one of the reasons that I'm attracted to whatever TI users who have Demon FE is because I think unconsciously I kind of believe or went through life believing that other people had my functions. So everyone has FI. You know what I mean? So with FE users, that's why I have like sometimes, or like FE savior, sometimes I'm like a little bit like, weirded out because it's like you're showing me your feelings first. So I'm like, is this fake? Is this real? Like, what's going on here? But now I'm realizing, oh, it's because what's vulnerable to them is their ideas and like what they actually think, their opinions. And that to me, that's like whatever, but with TI people, it's like when they don't show their FE to everybody. So it's like, oh, it's almost, it made sense to my brain. I'm like, oh, you're showing me something, like you're showing me your FI, but it's more exuberant and like nicer than mine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, our TI passes off as pseudo FI. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel like I don't feel like what you just said matches me very much, but I sympathize with it because I feel the same way about FE. But I think it's different with double deciders for me, at least it seems. For me, my FE is more an awareness of the tribe values and how I need to behave in this situation that we're in.
Yeah.
So I'm double deciding that, like, if I feel that in this moment you guys need to see some emotion, I would try to fake it, I guess, but I'm not feeling it necessarily, but I can pretty much move my emotions, I guess, wherever they need to be.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fake probably, but I'm trying to help the other person though. It's not fake. I want to help them. So
you're hooking into something that you're not necessarily feeling, but it's not like fake.
Yeah. It's real because I care and I want to help.
Yeah.
So it's not fake, but
it makes so much more sense when I compare it to my TE, because like I didn't think I was a thinker because I think the archetype of thinking I always had for TI, right? So it's like people who really work on their thinking, and then when you ask them their opinion, they'll give you the same one every single time. Whereas for me, it's like mostly problem solving and like finding, like with T, it's like I'm still thinking, obviously. I'm thinking for solutions. I'm thinking about how something can work. I'm thinking about the group. So that's why I thought it was FE, because I'm like, I'm thinking about how this could work for the most amount of people and how and goal setting and all that stuff. So I'm like, oh, that's not the stereotypical thinker. But so when people, like, it's not like my thinking is fake. So when TI users are like, oh, T is just dumb, I'm like, okay. I don't care either way because it's like my extroverted function. So it's like, that's not really me. I don't know. But it's like, I'm still thinking all day, every day, trying to puzzle things out. But I understand and I respect where you're coming from when you say that, like, yours is deeper. Because I'm like, okay, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to step on someone. My like, don't say anything. Someone else is going to talk. So
yeah, that's the same thing I'm doing as extroverted deciders.
And I'm just like, oh no, what do I say?
That's funny.
I'm relying on your higher blast to talk.
Okay. I'm just trying to think what fits into what she just. I'm trying to NT puzzle what I should say next. I don't know.
If we could modify our modalities, what would we modify our modalities to do? Yeah.
Probably.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
You haven't spoken. Go ahead. I've been talking.
Probably FM, just because I like having feminine sensory and masculine intuition, but I would like to have more of a punch and be able to like speak up for myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what it's like to flip both of them, just to see what it's like. But I would like to stay with kind of what I have. I would like to maybe be able to like dial up the FE to masculine when I needed it. Like if I'm in a situation where it's like, okay, I need to be a little pushy, crank it up. But I think that's a skill I could probably learn, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. If I could flip my modalities, I would want MM just to see how it'd be like. You imagine like a host me of my like YouTube show, like being double M and going like, "Hey, give me a true answer, come on!" I just want to know how it's like to push on the tribe.
Yeah.
Give yourself permission. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I would change my modalities. I think I kind of like being double feminine. I like my feminine sensory, my masculine intuition. I don't know. I feel like masculine sensory people are more stressed out than I am. So I'm kind of chill with it. I'm chill with like getting all the details. Okay, well, I'm not chill with getting late, so just want to say that. But with everything else. And then the feminine, I would like, if I could do anything, I'd like to have like masculine extroverted decider and masculine internal decider.
I know, yeah, right.
Exactly, no anywhere, just be still. But but I like having masculine FI. I like feeling stable on the inside, even if I take shit on the outside. Because I can bring it out. But if anything, I would like to be like a masculine FI savior instead of demon, because that'd be cool. So the same type, but like SEFI instead of SET.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed a trend like with my male friends. Sometimes they don't want to be called double feminine because like they're men and they want to be at least somewhat masculine.
Yeah.
Like, as a female, it's easier to be called double feminine, and it's easier to accept.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like, you would think it'd be more of a landmine for Dave and Chant like to label the modalities double feminine or double masculine and all that stuff. But I think we're kind of okay, like at least as a group and the community, of like not going to gender stereotypes and stuff, because everything has its duality, right? So it's like if you have feminine FE, you still have quite a big punch with masculine TI. It's like there's not all of the functions are created equal, right? So it's like, like feminine, it's such a interesting like relationship, I think, especially that one right there, where it's like you have masculine TI and then you have feminine FE, because it's almost unmovable, especially if it's like a savior and it's up top, like from experience. It's like, it's just it's just so interesting.
Yeah, I definitely like having the masculine TI for sure. I wouldn't trade that at all.
And I think feminine thinking just in general doesn't seem that convincing. If it's feminine TE or feminine TI, it's like, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, from watching the classes and from observing myself and other feminine TE people, it's like we don't sound confident in what we're saying, or like we're not like and it's weird because it's like, especially with same thing with the sensory, actually, because with feminine SE, it's like I do all this research and all this reading and stuff, and I literally, it's like when I say it out loud, and it's like it's just so interesting. But
one thing I've learned, my wife has feminine TE also, and I always assumed she had TI like me. I mean, I didn't know the terminology and stuff, but. So I would see that she would do a lot of things. She would ask me what I want to do, and I would say, and we would do that thing because she's going with what I said, I mean, now I'm like, she would regret, be like resentful a little bit that I never get to do the things I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, just say it. Let's do it.
Because
that's what I would do. So I can see now, I'm like, oh, let's do things she wants. That's what I make her tell me what she wants to do. And let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Mind blown. I'm actually the same way with masculine TI. I expect people to tell me their logic. And if they don't disagree, then they're automatically going on.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. See, masculine FI does not feel like that for me. Because it's like, you're like, so I rely on the thinking, obviously, and then you have this internal decider that's built on feelings and your own internal values, and it's just like you feel awkward bringing it up. It's like, okay, nobody's gonna take me seriously or whatever. And then, so I think this is probably one of the landmines for if you're in a relationship with the opposite decider, is if a TI user asked like like a TE savior who has masculine FI as a demon, like what they're feeling, and then you tell them something that's maybe irrational, like you still need to take that because that's how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's why they're on an axis together, because it's like irrational feelings, but then all this rational like action planning and finding opportunities and doing the best for everyone else. But this is what I really want. But then if you tell, so it's.
I had to learn that. Yeah, that's important. That's an important lesson for sure.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I feel like I kind of struggle with, like, because I'm coming from a place like I have a savior MFI, so I'm like, this is what I want. Now you tell me what you really, really want, and then nobody can really move because it's like I want to do what you want, but I also really want to do what I want, and you want the same thing, and so like, how do you move from there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, sometimes you can both want different things and then go do those different things and come back together. You don't always have to do everything together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because I'll be like, just tell me what you want. If I don't want to do it, you go do it. That's fine. I'll do my thing, and then
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I kind of thought, like at the start, maybe I was FE, because like a lot of times it's like, well, I really want this thing, you really want this thing. Let me just not do my thing at all, and I'll do your thing. And then like I feel like I'm doing this too much, and you're not doing enough of the same.
Yeah.
That's just like the double deciding, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes kind of like I miss out on FI telling me it's FI, like because I miss the cues of you telling me what you want, unless it's like explicitly stated.
Yeah,
it's hard because when it's not like said outright. I can be like Kevin, and I'm like, if you don't say it out loud, then it's hard for me to even know that it's a thing.
That's true though.
Yeah,
you have to vocalize it, otherwise you can't expect people like to intuit everything.
That's how TE savers go down. Yeah. It's like we're just doing things for other people, making things work, running around, and then it's just like it's almost as if like you're just slowly sinking into like this this feeling of like, oh my God, I'm being taken advantage of. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then finally a blow up of like, I don't like my life. Well, I'm just doing it. Because it's like with TI, it's like you guys I'm sure you guys have an idea of what you like, and it's built on logic. And so you're just going to go through, you're just going to do the thing, right? But for a TE, it's like you're trying to make things work. And that's actually, it seems almost more active than FE, if that makes sense, because you're constantly doing things for people. But then, if you don't take care of that FI, you can truly wake up as a TE user and be like, oh my God, I don't like any of the things I'm doing, and I haven't been happy for a long time, and yada. Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
But Danielle, do you feel that like FE is hard to do you have sometimes a hard time relating to FE? Because that's something I've had to learn as well, because it's like when I ask a TI user or whatever who has Demon FE, like, so tell me what you feel, and it's not like I'm always waiting for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I feel sad at this moment. I'm like, okay, so what else? Tell me everything on your chest. It's like, that's it. That's it. And a lot of emoting. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? It seems like you're really upset. You're emoting so much.
Right.
But no, I'm just expressing. It's just so weird because it's like FI, it's like it's a deep, and then it's like deep sadness or deep happiness or whatever, but it's like blank almost on the face. Whereas FE, it's like I'm starting to understand it's like a momentary thing, but you can at least they have the responsibility of emoting to you and showing it on their face. So it's like it seems so much. The emotion seems so much bigger to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've assumed in the past that people with like Demon FE were feeling all of these things secretly and just not telling me when it wasn't true. Like I was just making it up and assuming that they had FI as well. But Savior FE, I don't find I've really ever had trouble understanding. Like maybe sometimes Feminine FE, but especially masculine FE, like I feel like that's pretty much we're like siblings.
Yeah, they'll tell you pretty good. But I was gonna say something. I lost it. Yeah. But do you guys think that there's do you guys think there's a difference in relationship when you guys have different animal stacks?
I think so. I think your energy levels have to be kind of imbalanced. If one is like they want to go and do and you just kind of want to chill at home all the time, it's gonna be hard.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, I totally see the difference. Like with people who are play consume like you, Ikram, they're very charismatic and always like people will crowd around them. So whenever like I'm in a really close relationship with someone who's a skib, like a play consume, I'm scared that they don't like me anymore because they have so many people who want to be their friend.
Yeah,
I feel the opposite way because it's like for me, I always feel like I'm harassing like the more introverted types, especially the sleep consumes. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, they probably hate me because this is like the fourth time I'm calling them or whatever and trying to make plans. And again, you know what I mean? It's just I feel like, oh my gosh, like I always hesitate before I like send a message. I'm like, will they reject me this time?
Yeah, it does feel like they're very like in your life. Like play consumes when they want to be your friend. They're like, hey, hi, DMs.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it really helpful though, because it's so hard for me like to play. So someone who has Save Your Play coming in, it's really nice. Even if sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. It's very helpful, I think.
Yeah, and that kind of relates to something I did some research on. So there's been millions of dollars poured into personality and relationship research because of all of the like dating apps around, and a lot of these companies will not like show their data because they don't have any because it's not super reliable. But the one thing that actually stood out and is pretty solid in the research is that introverts do not prefer other introverts when it comes to relationships. Yeah. And I was trying to wonder like why is that? And I talked to a few of my friends and they said that they feel like almost more safer when they're connected to an extrovert because it's like, oh, somebody who can handle the outside world, and also it's just easier to connect because there's somebody who does like the play blasting, whatever, or stereotypically of like, talking to the person. Would you guys relate to that? Especially Joyce and Danielle, because you guys would be introverts in our definition of introverts.
Yeah. I think extroverts are really fantastic. They kind of open my eyes to a whole new world. Aladdin's a whole new world. like extroverts, like they take me out of my shell. So I feel like worldly with them. Like they bring me to new places because like they're more proactive, they're more engaging, and they take like an active effort at cutting at my shell. So they'll try to break down my shell. They kind of like the challenge too. They're like, yeah, what is this introvert hiding? The mystery. I love it. Yeah. I appreciate them breaking down my shell because I naturally won't even open up if a play consume doesn't go like, hey there.
Yeah. I kind of, they're kind of equal to me. Like I love introverts and I love extroverts. Like I feel like they're pretty even. The only thing is like the people I think I really don't get along with the most are people with my own exact stack with like the play last.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's like I feel like, oh, you're very quiet, like so am I. But I feel like I need someone to have play higher anywhere in the stack higher than what I have it, because otherwise I'm just like I'm responsible for the play then, even though when they have higher play, like I end up boosting it anyway. So I don't know, but I don't like feeling the one responsible to play. I feel like I prefer someone to sort of drag that out of me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I find is like extroverts are good at like lubricating the conversation. So what happened, at the start of the chat, Danielle, me, and a little bit of Kevin, like we were just quiet when left to each other. But when we had to have you come back in for us to talk. That's why we need.
That's so funny. All that happened in the 5 seconds I came to yell at my family not to speak.
Yeah.
It
just slowly died down without it.
It's true. Like you're so necessary here, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting because Kevin, you have sleep last, so you have two extroverted animals, and you have two extroverted animals as your saviors.
Yeah.
But you do come off very introverted, so I think
I've always thought I was an extreme introvert. I thought I had the same animal stack as Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I've had social anxiety my whole life, so I've been dealing with that. And my wife is more extroverted than me. I mean, me with social anxiety. So that was nice because whenever we would go places, she could interact and I could sit back and not, So it was nice. Everybody meet her. Oh, she's great. I'm just like, cool. Now I don't have to talk. Great.
Yeah.
But that was not good for my social anxiety for sure. But I'm working on that. So, but yeah, I'm more contemplative. I'm going to sit back and take in stuff. So.
Yeah. I definitely think that our socialization or just so much other variabilities variables never have to do with our like introversion and extroversion, because when I was younger, Kevin, I didn't speak at all. Okay, that's a lie. I did speak a lot, but at least in school, because I was such a
I'm loose with the facts there. Okay.
I had to correct myself mid-speech. But I was, because I moved schools so much, so that was a situational thing. So I was always a new kid, and so at some point I was like, okay, I give up on talking for from 5th grade to 8th grade. I'm just not talking anymore. I'm just going to consume all the time. I'm always reading a book.
Same thing happened with me too. Like we moved around, like every year we moved to a new school, and I was just like, screw this, like I'm not going to bother making friends anymore. And I guess because like I'm so introverted already, it just got like so much worse for me. But
Yeah. Sometimes like us sleep consumed mopes, we can accidentally build an own island for ourselves. Like there's everyone else and we have our own distant island.
Exactly.
It can be very isolating.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody who's extroverted come and annoy you. My friend Al.
You're like building 10 boats to get to that lonely island that we're on.
We've got the energy. Yeah. So we answered a question from Dallas. We have one more question from Julian, and he was wondering if we could go through like the different functions and how we would relate to it. So maybe we could just do that a little bit quickly. So we could do that for the DIs first. So what are your guys' experience, if you have any, in romantic relationships or just friendships with somebody who has TI or FI first?
Pretty much all of my friends either have TI savior or FI savior. I do find I'm more drawn to DI people, I guess, because I can immediately relate. Yeah.
I find I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It feels like you're sharing like a rich inner world with someone else when you're like an FI or TI savior with another FI or TI savior, but you have like compatible values and reasons. It feels like you're in this intimate world only you two have access to at that moment, and so it feels like really nice. And then you're back into reality after the chat's done, but you're left like absorbing the good feeling from it still.
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah,
that's nice. I like that.
That was really beautiful.
I don't think I've had many or any friends who were like lead FI. I think because of having social anxiety, it's kept me from opening up and connecting with people a lot. So I think if they don't bring me into their FI, I'm not going to be a close friend. So, and I've always held back a lot. So TI people is easy. I could befriend them easily, but because just I don't know, it's easy. But FI, I liked people, that I knew. I mean, looking back, obviously, I didn't know what FI was back then, but yeah, they were FI, and I couldn't get close. It was like I didn't know how. So
yeah, I kind of relate to Kevin here, and I think especially being a DE who has FI like as a demon, sometimes especially when I'm dealing with like an IP who's like FI first, sometimes I feel I don't even know how to explain it. It's like just because they're so like big at being themselves, I feel like intimidated or something, or like
it's true.
Yeah, because it's just like, okay, well, or I get frustrated too because it's a demon for me because it's like, okay, you shouldn't be doing this. Don't you know you should be doing PE more? Like, what is going? Like, this is not working for everybody. So I'll give an example. Like, when it came to a friendship I had, it kind of like it just completely dissolved because like it's not that she did anything incredibly wrong, but it just felt like the whole FI thing of like, okay, I'm gonna tell you what my experience was when this situation happened, and in the moment, it's like, what the heck, dude? That was like a small thing. I feel like you shouldn't be telling me this. It's not working for me. Like, and now I'm feeling bad, and then I'm not good at expressing my FI, and it's just happening too much to the point where I'm like, I feel so much smaller in this interaction because it's like all about you, and like you're not thinking about my FI or whatever. You're not like they're not thinking that that maybe it's harder for some people to share their feelings and whatever. So it's like I feel weirdly victimized by FI sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think even having FI like as a savior, I can feel like that with other FI people as well, especially if they have it as a lead. It can be really intimidating.
Yeah. And it seems like conflict is too hard because it's like I get so it brings out the worst of my TE because I'm like, oh my God, you're so dramatic. Like, God, I can't believe you're even talking about this. This is the type of stuff you shove down.
That's not healthy.
I mean,
that's funny.
But yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what I've noticed in like our groups on Facebook and stuff, Discord and everything, everybody seems to be trying to be growth mindset at least. So it's like I'll have FI people talking to me in there, and everything's great. It's nice because they want to understand me. I want to understand them.
Exactly.
That's where I want to get to. Where these functions don't matter.
Exactly. And to build off of what Kevin said, it's like when an FI like FI first, especially when they're considerate enough to like think about like ask you about your FI, it's like such a growth thing for TE saviors, I think. Because it's like, oh wow, like yeah, you're right. Like you're doing so much of this thing. I can do a little bit of this thing. Let me just try to work that muscle of like telling you what I feel. Yeah.
Then that brings up the topic if we're attracted to people who inspire us. So you talked about how FI inspires you to get more into your FI. So maybe like we're attracted to the opposite modality because it inspires us to develop the least developed parts of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. That's so true. I feel that about FE saviors a lot because it's like, even though sometimes I am confused by them because I'm just like, oh, what's going on? What is this function that I don't understand? But they're also like, I feel like I've gotten so much growth from FE saviors in my life. Like, honestly, because with having FI demon, it's so hard to talk about your feelings, and FE people are so good at that. And they're also so good at recognizing or like in being in tune with you and like calling out whatever your feelings and making you feel safe enough to like express them. So it's like, I do so much modeling off of them. Like, there's this therapist online that I really love. I've been listening to his podcast for like years, but now he's like a kind of a big YouTube person. But I've been trying to puzzle out his type forever, but I finally figured out. I think he's Saver TI with FE, and I think he might be a double decider. But literally, just like seeing the way he talks and like puzzles out people's feelings and how it's an easy thing for him to talk about feelings. It's helped me so much to just like do 10% of that for myself, because it's like, as having FI like as a demon, it feels like so weird and vulnerable every time that I talk about feelings, and it doesn't have to be that way, you know. So it's like, it's kind of nice to see FE users, because it's like, oh my gosh, you guys are like these amazing beings who do the thing I'm scared of doing so much.
I feel like they're so supportive as well. Like, I think my sister is lead MFE, and just, I usually don't feel comfortable always saying what, you know, my FI is, but when I do around her, she's just like, yeah, like, fuck them. Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear, but yeah, she's just like really supportive and like really gets on board, and it makes me feel like valid.
Yeah.
I find like I tend to be attracted to people who get me to love my demons. So by being like the opposite side of me, it makes it easier for me to look at the side of me that is opposite. And then I feel it more well acquainted with my demons, which makes me feel more intimate with myself, which makes me feel more intimate with the other person.
Yeah. You feel more whole, really.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because we spend so much time in whatever our saviors are, that sometimes we can forget that like what we think is serious doesn't have to be so serious. But Joyce, what is it like having FE as a demon? Because I know you are a jumper, and so am I. And so I feel like, you know, even though it's really hard for me to express my FI, I'm unfortunately like aware of it. How does that play out for you?
I guess like I am aware of my FE, but like I guess I'm making sure things make sense first. So when I'm talking, I'm more careful with my words. I pause more than an FE savior would between my words, if you notice, because I'm looking for the accuracy, like the TI. I want to make sure it all makes sense to me. And what it ends up doing is makes everything awkward, because then it ends up being choppy because it's more accurate. So basically, I sacrifice FE to please my TI, but it's still there. It's just a slave to my TI.
That was even what you just said now is just like more FE than I have, because I'm like, oh, I don't notice the pauses in your talking. I don't know. It's just really funny because I don't notice those things at all.
I kind of think I do that as well, but mine's more. It's the same thing, but yours is the TI and mine's the FI version. Like, does this align? You know?
Well, I have crappy FE, so I'm working on my FE now. So from the social anxiety, I've been internalizing my FE. So I'm trying to learn how to use it like out in the real world. So
I think you have good FE, Kevin. I always feel comfortable talking to you.
Thank you. You have good FE now too, so I appreciate it.
That was me expressing my FI. No,
digging deep there. Yeah.
Play first can feel like the stereotypical FE, because play first feels like a warm, extroverted energy. And you have a warm, extroverted energy too, because you're play first, but it's different from FE. So I wonder if FE is just like wanting, like, for Kevin, maybe he's quiet because he cares about being like socially appropriate, and that might be causing the anxiety. And it might also be his FE too, because he's like judging the values of everyone, and then like it's causing anxiety.
Yeah, I have noticed recently that my brain is constantly telling me that people are shitting on tribe values, and I'm telling myself now that I can ignore that. I don't have to be so. They're doing it it's like, chill out. How do I know that that's a value? I'm telling myself that that's a value. I don't know it. I didn't go poke on people and have them tell me that. So it's like, I see myself doing that, and I'm like, calm down. It's not real. Just stop. But
I think that's why you guys are so like, I don't know.
I don't want it. I don't want this. I don't want to know this. It's not fun. I don't like it.
Oh my God, me with TE. But no, that's so interesting, because it's like even FE users who have that as a demon have that, and it's so foreign to me as a TE FI user, because it's like, even when I'm not expressing my FI, I'm still expressing it through TE. So I'll make things awkward all day long, and I just don't care. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, this is what I think. This is how I feel. Like it's just this thing of like making things awkward. And then with TI users, like especially ones who have a first, they are like awkward. They make things awkward all the time with their TI. Like they truly do. And then weirdly enough, they'll get offended at somebody else, or they'll get mad when they feel like people don't like them. And I'm like, why do you care? Like, you know what I mean? Just don't be so because I don't know, because I'm like, how do you not know you're offensive? And first off, like if you're right, then you're right. Just be offensive. Don't ask people to like accept you, because it's like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go on forever about that, because it's just something I see not only in the TI like saviors in my life, especially the IPs, but even on the internet. You know what I mean? Like people like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or all these guys, where it's like they're TI saviors, and so many people really like them. Same thing with Sam Harris. So many people really, really like them. They have a very strong fan base, but they're still like, the tribe's attacking me. Why don't you guys like me? Why isn't this the norm? Everyone should be doing this. I'm like, why do you care about social norms so much? Like, just do you, boo. Like, I don't know. It just
can't help it. Can't shut it off.
Yeah, it's just so interesting. So interesting. Because I think I sense the conscientiousness from the FE saviors, where it's like you guys are trying to, like, I can see that you guys are trying to make things comfortable, and I'm better at like appeasing that for you guys, because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to make it awkward for you guys. But with TI saviors, it's like, what the? It's more confusing.
I think the people in our groups and stuff know that, and they're aware of it, and you're trying to be growth. So, you know, they're trying to think of, oh, I see that. And they're working on it. So we got a lot of good people in this group that are TI leads they know that, and they're doing, you know, the work.
Yeah. So yeah, to the group, I wasn't thinking about you guys.
And that was my FE right there.
That was your FE. Oh my God, that was my FE blindness. Okay, yeah. I'm mostly thinking about political and people in life. Guys, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was even like unhealthy TI people, like Shay was saying, Zack Snyder. I really love it, actually, because I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, like respect, you know, saying what you think. Even if it's unhealthy, it just feels like, I don't know, like I support that. Maybe I shouldn't, but
I like it.
I really like hearing what people, you know.
I love TI. Like I really love TI. Whether it's a demon or a savior, because it just because I think especially as a TE savior, like I respect it, because I'm like, oh wow, you're doing the same thing but like deeper than what I'm doing. But yeah.
One thing I'll see is when they say that kind of stuff, where it's stuff that I would think to say, but my FE would be like, nah, you can't say that. That's not right. I mean, you're going to hurt people. You're going to ruin the vibe or whatever. I'll see them say it. And it's something I would like to say. I'm thinking it, but I'm not saying it.
Yeah. How do you think this tension would like work out in relationships? Yeah,
that's tough. I think if everyone's growth mindset, it's a whole different story, right? I mean, so if it's not, I mean, you know, you're going to clash, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Because I personally will own up, because me being a TE, whatever, like headbanger, I don't know, blockhead. I think I honestly have shamed people for Demon FE, because I'm like, why do you care what people think? Like, just do you? You know what I mean? Why do you care? And so that's definitely something I would work on in the future. And I don't know. I think that would be one of the like most useful things from typology. Just understanding that even though somebody looks like they or seems like they wouldn't care about tribe values, because there's so much speaking to truth to power or whatever, they still care.
They probably care more. They probably care more.
They probably do. Yeah, they definitely do. And it's like, because that's a blind spot for me.
I was talking to a lead TI recently, and he doesn't like that people think of him as selfish, lead TI. Wow. And I'm like, I don't see him as selfish, but as someone who's a double decider, I'm looking at my TI and I go with it a lot. You know, I'm weighing them both, and I'm like, that's more selfish to me, because I know what the tribe would like, and I'm going with my TI anyway. he's having a harder time seeing
Mhm.
what the tribe values and stuff, and he's trying.
Yeah.
He comes off looking selfish,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
but
True.
you know,
That's so true.
I'm probably more selfish because I'm going, you know, with my TI more.
Because you're aware,
Oh, yeah,
like more
that's
aware of it.
I'm
and you're
aware
still
of it.
making that
I know.
decision. Yeah,
He's struggling to know,
that's
wants to know.
it's true.
So
I
you need
feel
to give the TI people a little bit of a break, I think.
yeah. Sorry, I actually TI is one of my favorite functions. Yeah.
And probably FI is the same. I mean, I'm saying it as TI, but it's
the
probably the
exact same
same.
thing with FI. I just realized that I recognize my FI all the time, and I still go with my FI, and I think that's why probably DE users feel selfish a lot of the times, especially.
For sure.
Yeah, if you're a double decider and you are going with your internal decider a lot, because it's like you know what people like. For me, I know what people need. Like I know what would work for you. I know how I could be helping. I know all this stuff, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do
Right.
so it's like you end up feeling selfish. But with the FI savers, it's so true. Like especially if you're an IP with FI, it's like maybe you're not paying attention to what other people are struggling with and where you could help them. And so people will read you as selfish, but really you're just like missing information.
Yeah. I'm actually the opposite of Kevin, so I'll weigh both, but then I'll choose FE at the end because. But then I'm so hyper aware of how I've violated my own TI, and I just kind of like that. It totally didn't make sense, but I picked FE anyway. That was but I still do it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my family and my friends generally think of me as I'm not like I feel like I'm being weird saying this as an FI, but they think of me as like more selfless and more of a pushover, and I think it's for the same reason. Like I know what I want, but I'm still going to do what the tribe wants me to do, and I do it to the point where like I physically can't handle it. But it's not like I'm doing this like in a savior state all day long, you know. And I think it hits me that much like harder because it's my demon. And it's not what I want to be doing.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is so interesting. Okay, so the one function we didn't I guess I talked about it a bit, but TE. TE, what do you guys think being in a relationship with a TE user is like? Or what the pitfalls and the benefits or whatever would be like?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know what it's like. It's very beneficial now to understand what TE is and all of that, because now I can see, oh, this is TE here. And the pitfalls for me are when I go in and and NT come up with a solution to some problem, and I attach my identity to it, and it's not the solution that is going to work for everybody. I feel bad in that situation because I gave some of myself as an answer to a question, and that's not. So I'm seeing that now, and I'm like, oh, I need to do this, but not attach myself to this. It's work that I need to do, because I like when people are brainstorming. I don't want to have to sit on the sideline because I have TI. I can't take part.
Yeah, that's true.
I need to learn to play with everyone else and throw out ideas and not attach myself to it.
Not attached. Yeah, I'm like that too. Like,
so that's the tricky part. That if you're aware of it, you can compensate, I guess, but it's difficult for sure. But it's not the TE person's fault. The TE is not a bad function. They're all good and they're all bad in their own ways. But we need to take responsibility to spot them and put in the effort.
Yeah.
So
I kind of feel like that with brainstorming too. Like, I know if I'm throwing at something and I'm like, this is personal, like I'm attached to this, like it's in my FI. I kind of just try and keep those ones to myself and just like, what else? What else can I throw out that I'm not attached to? Because if it's rejected, then
that hurts.
Or even if they go with it and then take it in the wrong direction, because I can't control what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So for me, most of the TE people in my life have been play first, and what I notice is that I'm very attracted to play first. But what happens is when I need to go off on my own and sleep process, the play first like TE user will go like, "Hey, Joyce, they want to fix things for the tribe." So they're like, "I want to fix things for the tribe, Joyce," and I'm like, "No, I need to think." About it.
Yeah.
So it can be like a personal space problem because they're always wanting to like help me with something, like because the TE is like so supportive to the tribe, but sometimes I don't need the tribe. That's like the opposite of what I need, and it scrambles my brain. So it's kind of like it's alone time, the issue with alone time, because TE always wants to like act, and I just want to be alone in my and let things settle into the water, you know, and I can't when there's things moving.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's really interesting. I can speak for myself as being, you know, a TE saver, but sometimes when people are alone for too long, or like seeming like they're struggling with something emotionally, or just going through a rough time, I think because I don't have FE, I can kind of act like in a way that's not totally appropriate. In that, like, it's like I'm using my saver for something that's not, it shouldn't be used for. So it's like, I want to fix your problems. Like Joyce said, like, I want to help. And in reality, I think I've noticed that a lot of the time, it's like me trying to deal with my FI by using FTE. Because I'm like, I feel so bad that you're off alone and like sad, and I hope she's okay, and I'm really concerned, I'm scared, all these feelings. And instead, what would come out was like, hey, you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this, and I can help you do this, and da-da-da. And, you know, positive thinking, just like too much stuff. And even before discovering OP, like through that therapist I was talking about, just realizing that, you know, I can just speak my FI, you know what I mean? Like turn it into like a little FI, or just bring somebody into my FI, where it's like, hey, like, I'm concerned. Are you good? I just want you to know that I'm concerned about you. I love you, all that stuff. But sometimes it's like, even talking about it now, I'm so weird. Freaking like in a demon state. Because it's like, oh my God. Yeah, like cheering up and all this stuff, because it's like you love people so hard and you want to do all the things for them, but
yeah,
surprised, so I don't.
Yeah, for the sleep consumes, it can be like overbearing and smothering, because like the sleep consumes get clarity by themselves. And with additional, like, I'm a block banger NT, right? So with another T type, when we're like clashing our block banging, like they want to give me solutions and thoughts, but I want to figure it out on my own. So we're like waiting, we're like, I want clarity for myself, and you're like, let me provide you the clarity. And I'm like, no, please keep your blocks away from me.
Don't mix the blocks here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then it could feel like rejection when that happens. It's like it's not like the regular rejection that TE users always like receive when we're constantly brainstorming. So a lot of times people will say that's a dumb idea, whatever. And it's like, you know, you brush it off because it's like, whatever. It's just another idea of like 10 or 15. But when it's like, when you do that weird thing where you try to like TE or FI, and then you bring it to people like, oh, these solutions, I've given you all these solutions, and I took extra time to think about these solutions because I really care. And it's like, and they're like, leave me alone. Then it's like, oh my gosh, you hate me. You hate me, and you don't really like me. You're just tolerating me, and crying.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. As TI, FE, I don't get that. It's like I see it and I get it now, but but in the past, I didn't understand that at all. I couldn't logically explain that.
Yeah. It's so interesting seeing that in other TE users, because now I'm like, oh my God, idiots, I see you. But with Joe Rogan, like there was a clip of him, like he'll get so, especially because he has feminine feeling and masculine TE, he gets so angry with the reasons. He's like, this is dumb, this is not how you should live, and da-da-da, and it all comes back down to him being like, I hate seeing this behavior because it reminds me of the bitch inside, which is basically what he calls his feelings. Like, it reminds me of the bitch inside, and I have to just eradicate that from my view, and I need people to not be like this. Yeah.
It doesn't sound healthy.
Yeah, well, I don't, he needs to work on his emotions, I think. He's He's kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't help that like so many people project like this image onto him, but he's also. I love seeing when his FI does come out because it's so like nice when you see TE users do that. Like, just like, oh wow, that's especially when they have masculine TE and it's like they show their feminine FI. It's like so heartwarming and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I haven't ever been in a relationship with a TE savior, but like with close friendships and family members and all that stuff, I don't mind masculine TE or feminine TE. I'm totally fine with both because I feel like we're speaking the same language. So it's like, even when I see them doing that thing where they're trying to TE their FI, it's like I can recognize it. I'm like, hey, so what are you feeling? What's going on with you? Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, we can do the FI thing together.
Cool.
What happens is I get judgmental. I think like I take it from an FE perspective, and I'm like, you're not respecting everyone's values, and one of mine is, and then I start judging the TE user when they come from a different thought. So it's not fair to judge them for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is a good segue into our conversation about the FITE axis versus the FETI axis, and how like what this is based on a thread on the OP groups talking about which one was more unconditional. So sorry, all over the place here. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is FI love more unconditional than TI love? And this is like savior, like this is not savior or demon, whatever, but any FI user versus TI user.
I don't know. I have no opinion on this.
Joyce, you want to go?
My opinion on this is very controversial. So
I love
That's
it.
good. I like it.
I do think FI love is generally more unconditional than FETI love. Yeah. It's because like FI, when you're in their value, you're in their value. It doesn't matter where you are, like what you're doing. They love you in the long term. There's a place for you in their heart. Because like when FI is certain, it is certain. But like with FE users, I don't know if all of them have that. So anyone want to expand?
I think I don't know if I'll say this. I don't know about unconditional, conditional, because I don't know people's hearts, but I will say that I think FI users are more likely to stick it out for the long haul, even when things should have been abandoned. Yeah. So it can get to a toxic level. And then I don't know about you, Danielle, and if you would relate to this, but when I was younger, I really had to work this out for myself because it's like, I think not saviors, but FI users can get into this thing of like the more intense the love and the more like all encompassing and the more I'll sacrifice and all that, the better, so it was I think I definitely idealize like really toxic love.
Me too.
Like because I knew, it's going to sound so dramatic, but whatever. But it's like, as an FI user, at least for myself, I feel like I could die for love. I feel like I could kill for love. I feel like I could do so much for love. And it doesn't have to make sense. I'll, F the reasons if it's in FI, like F the reasons if I love you. It would literally take so much for, I can't think my way out of feelings, and my values are built on feelings, and it's internal and it's deep, and it's like something I've been nurturing my whole life, so it can get to a toxic place.
100% everything you said, like exactly.
Yeah, a lot of the FI saviors in my life, what they'll talk to me about behind the scenes is like, Joyce, I think I might have like slight Stockholm syndrome, or like friends tell them that they'd have that because their FI savior can love so deeply. Like it doesn't need to have a TI reason to love it. I just love it. And then to the outside party, it can seem like if it's a toxic relationship, they're kind of like, it's kind of like Stockholmy to still think about them years later and still have like good memories associated and feelings associated with it.
It almost feels like the more intense or tumultuous or like hard the thing is, or the love is, or whatever, it's almost like you're more attracted to it. I mean, maybe it's me thing, like I'm maybe a psycho or whatever, but just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, we have somebody who's watching.
I can't comprehend that. Yeah, I cannot comprehend that at all. It's I've cut people out of my life, family, like very close family, because we didn't have a very close relationship, but like both of my parents, actually, I'll go ahead and say it, at different times, and because the relationship, I mean, what we've had here in this conversation right here is way more than I ever had with either of them. So that's what we got there. But it's like they just constantly were shitting on values that were very important to me. Yeah. And I got to the point where I'm like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
This is toxic. I don't need this. And door slam, INFJ, door slam, right?
Yeah.
But then I changed my thinking of what I wanted from the relationship with my father, at least. And I was like, I'm expecting him to be a decent person and to do, be there, and he can't do that. He's not capable. He's not capable of that. So when I changed my expectations, I'm like, okay, let's have a relationship. Let's, my mom she's still gone, but out of my life. She's still alive, but she just, there was a value that I had that I expected her, to be there for someone, and she wasn't, and she had her excuses and all that. But I'm like, if my life goes to crap and I can't count on you to be there for me, because I saw you weren't there for this other person.
Yeah.
Why am I even doing this? Because, we hardly have anything anyway. That's like the one thing. It's like, they're there for you when times get tough. If you have evidence that they're not going to be there, why do you need this? So
it's so much more rational, I think.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. Go ahead.
I'm just like, I feel like I could never cut somebody out of my life. Like I had an abusive childhood, right? And I guess I won't elaborate like online, but even then it's like, I feel like I have to just keep working to make it, like, to change myself so I can like accept that in a healthy way, and like to set more like boundaries and stuff, but I still can't cut people out of my life. I just like, I feel like I have to keep working and growing, even if they don't, that's fine. But yeah,
I feel the same way, Danielle. Like, there is somebody in my life that I probably shouldn't be talking to you anymore, whatever, a parent. But it feels like almost torture to cut it off completely. You know what I mean? Like I'm hurting myself. So yeah. Don't want to cry. So
for me, I used to think that I didn't INFJ door slam, but I related completely to what Kevin said. Like, if the relationship is toxic, I slowly lose feelings for that person. And so the thing is, I feel like I'm warm outside but I'm inside, I'm cold, because I can make that decision to like slowly wane off a person when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so the thing with me, like, very few things are unconditional. It's strange. Like when I do start to care about things deeply, it's very rare. Like I've been learning that recently. So, Ikram with the ESFPs, like, you're one of them. I started having these warm feelings towards like group chat and like you in general that I've never had in general for anyone. So it's kind of in general, because like I TI cut people out when there's too many red flags, like too many FE red flags, and I'm like, I'm sick of this. No. But for you, Ikram, and like the rest of the ESFPs, like my heart has like grown on there, because like there were no red flags, and I'm like, so like I felt close to you guys. But in general, a lot of my love is conditional, unless you trick me into liking you long term. You have to trick me, like, I don't know, trick me out of my reasons.
Yeah. Wow, this is so interesting. Do you think this is why FI seems cold sometimes? Because it's like, I have a theory where it's like, I think because it's so torturous and terrible when somebody goes into your FI and then you have to, distance yourself, and it's so haunting that there's so much things that you have, like there's so much walls that you have to break down for somebody to come in. So I understand the ISFPs and the INFPs so much with FI first, where it's like, yeah, if you're going through the world with FI first, you do need to protect yourself. I think there's so much protection and there's so much walls, because if you share that with somebody and they're not good, it's like very derailing to your life, I think.
Yeah.
So I think this is why we can get a quote. And I personally, as a TE savior, like in past relationships, when I've shared my FI with somebody and it's like kind of rejected, or like with the TI, like people I've dated, I share my FI with them after they ask me to share their feelings, and it's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, I'm never going to share with you again. And then of course, and I'm not going to show. It's bad. But I'm not going to emote. Like, I'm not going to cry in front of you, because that's ridiculous. I would never cry in front of you. I'm going to cry in my room like for hours and then just be very cold afterwards. And I think that can give people like this impression that you're actually just a cold person. And I think a lot of EJs with TE first, like it must be really freaking tough to have all that FI at the very bottom. Yeah. Because most people are seeing you're TE, and you seem so aggressive and whatever, but then you have like this deep well of like, I love you, but I cannot show it. And
with some, like in that, like some FI users get the reputation, like TE first, like TE savior, like especially EJs can be seen as abrasive when inside their FI goes really, really deep. And it's kind of like unfortunate. It's like almost like the most deepest part of you is misunderstood by the whole world. And that makes you want to protect yourself even more, and it makes you cold. It's just a feedback cycle and like reinforcing itself.
Yeah. It's definitely tough. Yeah. Do you guys have any idea what having TI at the very bottom for an EJ with FE first is like? Because I don't know if I totally understand. I think I need a sensory example or something.
I think my sister has TI right at the bottom. That's hard because she doesn't really show it much. Lately she's been getting like really into conspiracy theories and stuff, so like she's growing her TI now, like she's wanting to figure out like what makes sense, what's true, like to her, because she's never really tried that hard before. I think it's really hard, especially when you start saying, this is like my truth, and you want to extrovert it to people because like you are kind of like an extroverted person, and you want people to be like, to see it finally and to accept it, and they don't because because it's kind of it's conspiracy. So she's been dealing with that a lot lately, and I've been finding a lot of people in our family have not been reacting to it very well. I think it's because it's a baby for her. So she's still learning like how to use it like in a more healthy way, and right now it's people are just seeing the baby and they're reacting like really strongly to it, and people are kind of not wanting to talk to her anymore, and which is very upsetting. But she's been called like stupid and dumb and stuff her whole life, and I think that she like really like internalizes that. So now she's just saying like this is it, like accept it or don't. It's hard for her.
Yeah, sure.
That must be really rough. So when I think of a TE savior EJ, I think of Shannon from Objective Personality, as we all know.
Yeah.
And this is a broken telephone story, so I'm not sure if it's totally true, but it rings true with others I know. So with like these type of ENTJs, what they'll do is like when they're outside socializing, they'll seem very warm with their feminine TE, it's like making everyone feel warm. But when they're with people like that are in their FI, like truly in their FI, sometimes they forget to say it. So they don't say their FI in front of them. So it's almost like The warm TE is for like social presentation, but like when they're at home, they're more of themselves. And so they kind of, there's this expectation that you already know that they love you and they're FI. And so it's almost like FI common sense. So you should take this FI as its common sense. And then I should just do things for you. And then you should implicitly know that I love you. And so EJs at home might be less like saying it, but more doing.
I see that in my mom so much, who I believe is just a standard ENTJ, TE, and an I. And I think she has masculine TE. And it's just like the way she expresses love is that she just does everything for people. She just constantly is just doing things, and she'll overextend herself. She'll do too much, honestly, like to the point where nobody asked you to do this, but you're still doing it.
Yeah.
But because it's just like, oh, I love you so much because it's almost like I don't want you to struggle, whatever. I'll just do this thing for you. But what ends up happening is that it's like you do all these things and you're putting a lot of effort towards people's lives. So sometimes you can get into the sticky place where it's like you start feeling, resentful of the person, which I can feel as well. But where I feel the EJs kind of go too far their downfall almost is sometimes it's like you have this FI that doesn't care about FE values, and then you have this TE at the top. So you have all the reasons and you can argue all day, and you have all this resentment building. So sometimes that reaches a dam, like the dam breaks, okay? And you just say terrible things to other people and you just make them feel like crap. And then you feel justified because you're like, I did X, Y, and Z for you. I did this and this and this. Why can't you just take what I said to you? It's like, you can't do that to people. You just straight up can't. You shouldn't make people feel bad. And they're not realizing sometimes that you kind of forced your savors onto other people. Like there's sometimes where the person doesn't want it. They don't even want it. And you offered it and you offered it and you offered it and you gave it to them because you're trying to express your love. And yeah, like that's where they can really struggle. So
yeah, and that's where the FE clashes, because the moment when the TE or person was doing so many things for you and then they break down because like they've been doing so many things and they think it's okay to show their FI and like, maybe critique you a bit, like what the FE person takes it as is like, wow, that's really offensive to everyone's values. I can't believe you just said that or did that. And then so the miscommunication comes there because then the FE takes it in a way that you didn't mean it.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of that tea thing that you were saying, I think my dad might be a late TEJ, and like I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight, and every single day he's like, "Oh, I bought this. Do you want this food? Do you want this food? So I'm like, Dad, like I feel like you're being really unsupportive. Just because he keeps offering me food like all the time, and then the other day I found out like he'd been doing my pot that I used to cook in. He'd been washing that like every single day just so like I wouldn't cave and order food or something. So I felt so bad, but yeah, like he was supporting in his own way, but that I didn't see, But also, I felt like it was unsupportive. Him offering me food and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of something my mom did to me. It wasn't bad, but it was just like it just when I realized what FE was, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the difference between TE and FE. But I remember I was a chubby kid when I was in elementary school, and I think somebody called me fat or something, and so I was crying. And my mom came in, and she's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Oh, somebody called me fat." And she's like, "Well, you could always lose weight." I'm like, and then after that, she's like, "Yeah, like if you need me to get you anything, it's you can lose this weight." And I'm like, I didn't ask you to be a personal trainer, Mom. Like, I just want cupcakes. Like, let me eat my food. You know what I mean? But but it's just like he was trying to help. That's the thing. That's when we get stuck in our savers. You're trying to help, but you need to use something else. Maybe or FI even. Just like, oh, I'm sad that you're crying.
She needs some FE je ne sais quoi.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think people that are close to you like that, you're in her TI if she's got FE, so she's like giving you the TI reasons, like, yeah, you can take it. You're in my TI, so you're part of me. So I can just say the reasons, and you're going to be fine, right? But that's how it works.
Yeah.
Because to me that sounds like bad FE. What she said.
Yeah.
Right. From my perspective, if I'm watching that, I'm like, that's not good FE.
Oh.
Because that's a value. You don't tell someone that, but if it's a close person, and you would soften how you say it. Maybe she's masculine. I don't know, but I would be like,
she's TE. She's definitely masculine TE, but
yeah, that's not good FE.
Yeah, that's not good. That's like zero FE at all. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the fact that when you're close to people, because I actually think she would say that to most people. Just with just having TE, she's one of those people who would like if anyone's gaining weight, she's like, yeah, you're getting fat. Like, that's also an African thing that could be. But I know Lovey from the classes also said that her FE family is able to do that. But it's just it's interesting because what happens in private is when she expresses her FI, and I didn't realize how I was mean to my mom when I was a teenager because she has like feminine FI, and every time she would bring it up, I'm like, well, whatever, you're so terrible and mean and all this stuff. It's like because it's hers is feminine, right? And it's just like, well, this is how I feel. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what you feel. It's like what you did or like how you did it. Because I'm also too easier because we're just assholes. Like I think we're assholes without meaning to be assholes. But that's a really interesting topic. How do we treat people when they express their demon functions in private with each other? With us, yeah. So like, how do we treat people like Danielle? You said your sister being treated terribly by your family because they weren't really respecting. It could be conspiracy theories, whatever. But it's like if you're a family, you should be more accepting and just trying to listen to the person.
I think especially with people who have like FI savior, it's worse because it's like, this is against my values, I'm going to tell you, and my sister's like, well, this is what I think, I'm going to tell you, and it's just like such a clash there.
Yeah. So Kevin, you have your TI and FE balance in the middle, but your TI is still technically a demon, and you said that when you do bring up your reasons, if you come from a vulnerable place. So that's so foreign to me. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's I guess because it is a demon, I do feel reluctant to share my reasons because they're very personal, and if the person is rejecting them, they've already rejected the TI, gift that I just gave them. I don't want to go into my reasons and explain the thing that you just rejected. It's like, because you're rejecting me. So if I sit here and say, oh, well, I got to that idea from this reason, I'm already upset and angry, and I don't want to talk about it. I want to leave right now. I don't want to stand here and explain it.
Yeah.
So, because it's like, if you're rejecting that idea, you're rejecting me. Is how it seems inside.
Interesting.
So why am I going to stand here and explain my reasons? You've just rejected me. You don't deserve my reasons at this point,
Yeah. Wow. I think I've stepped on so many TI people in my life.
That's why we're here, to understand each other. So this is good. Yeah. Right.
It's so interesting because for me, it's like, well, that wasn't a good reason. Well, that was the wrong choice, but it's just like, it's not that big. Like, I don't think worse of you because at the end of the day, it's like FI, like I still love you or care about you or whatever. It's just this irrational, like, oh, I like you. So it's not.
But from our perspective, we don't like you anymore. Yeah. You just took a crap on me. Yeah. So you dropped down a little bit,
So yeah, funny. That's true.
Yeah, that's so weird.
That's why I think that's why I think FE love is more conditional, because when you crap on us, we literally might put you down an emotional level.
Yeah. And that's probably why you guys are better at compliments, or give more compliments too, because just so you're balancing that out. Because for me, it's like I give compliments, or I tell people how I feel just randomly, freaking maybe I'm feeling a chemical reaction or whatever, I'll just throw you on.
That's hilarious.
It's like,
That's so funny.
but reasons, it's like with reasons, it's so impersonal to me. Like, if somebody, of course, says like, oh, all like, if somebody says that's a dumb reason, I really truly do not care. But if somebody, every single reason I give them, they're like, that's a dumb one, that's a dumb one, that's a dumb one. Then I'm like, oh, you just don't like. Then it's like, oh man, I think this is a personal vendetta against me. Maybe
Right.
I'm trying to, because especially with feminine tea, it's like I'm looking at you and I'm trying to mold my reasons to fit you, right? Because I want it to work for you. So it's like, if I'm moving all the time and you're still not accepting my reasons, then you must hate me. So then
Right.
that's how FI, yeah.
That makes sense.
I feel like demon tea is a little bit more personal because like I already feel like an idiot. I already know I don't think things through. So when I am going and like I think something through and then I share it and people are like, that's stupid, it's very it hits hard because I already feel stupid. So it's just like them like confirming, yes, you're an idiot.
Oh man. Wow, there's so much like landmines that for all of us. Like it's just so it's like a shock that any of us have relationships or friends. It's like all the personal bits for everyone else is not personal for everyone. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
It's just so disorienting.
It is interesting seeing like demon tea versus demon TI because like it's a little bit personal for me, but it's not as personal as it would be if I had TI because it's not tied to my identity in that way. It just feels, like I already think this about myself and you saying this is confirming it, but it's not that personal.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So how I would describe my TI is that instead of using the word personal, I would use personalized. So it's so individualistic to me and how I see logic that if I were to tell someone, sometimes it's hard to tell you the full value of my TI. So I'll explain an idea that I've been thinking about really hard. And so I've covered every spot and made it as bulletproof as I could in my own TI. And then I give it to you. And then you kind of brush it off and you're like, I'm like, hey, wait, I spent so much time making it bulletproof. And then you just like, like, whoosh. It hurts because, well, sometimes it hurts. It's like, it feels like I personalized it. I'm giving, like, it's almost like I'm trying to make you understand my own thought process. And when you throw it away, it's like throwing away my chance at being understood by you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Totally. Yeah. Definitely.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's like a gift we're giving. It's a part of ourself, you know? If I do that, I care, you know? That's how I show I care. It's like I go into here and think, come up with something really good and give it to you. It's
something
valuable.
It means something to you.
Yeah.
It almost feels like if someone rejects it, you have nothing to offer the world. That's like my one thing to offer the world now. You're not accepting it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Burnt offerings.
That sounds so painful. Yeah. Wow. Danielle, how do we show FI? Like, what do we give to the world using FI? I can't even think of anything. So I'm like, I guess just my love or whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, love. Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah, because it's like with FI users, it's like we don't like everybody. It's like we don't have. It's like if we're giving you our presence and our time and our care and letting you in and all that stuff, that is us showing that we care, because we don't do this for everybody. And I think this is why FI users can come off as pretentious, where
yeah, for sure,
yeah, because it's just like, oh yeah. Because it's like you can't put everyone into your FI. It would make your life ridiculous. This is such an interesting conversation, guys. We're almost at the hour and a half point, so I'm gonna cut it here. But does anyone have like any closing thoughts? Or actually, sorry, let me just go. Yeah. So any closing thoughts as I go through these comments?
I don't know. Closing thoughts.
I'm wondering if your viewers want to know what type you're attracted to, Ikram. Why me?
Call her out, yeah.
Okay, I know what my TI is betting that there's probably like a few guys who are watching your show because like they're secretly in love with you and they want to know the code to unlocking your heart.
What's happening?
Joyce, lean into that FE a little bit more.
God, I'm in shock. Okay. Well, I'm only answered this question if everyone answered this question. I'm not gonna answer it by myself.
I'm kidding. I just like to put you on the spot.
Okay.
It's funny.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna TE work it up, but oh, I'm all flustered now. But yeah. Any closing thoughts, guys?
No.
Joyce is starting a dating service.
Well, oh my God. Truth. I just thought I'd let you know. Okay. See, that's an example of TI making things awkward, but it's gotta love me.
This is an example of blind FE too, because I can't like walk it off. I'm just like but yeah, guys. It was such a good conversation. I love talking to all of you guys. Thank you so much for staying late. It's been an hour and a half, and I came an hour late because I messed up the time zones.
No worries.
But
thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
All right. Fun.
And thanks for everyone who was commenting. Sorry that I can't do two things at once. but yeah, perfect. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.